Hi guys, Ms. Ceballos here again with another lesson for you guys. And today we are going to continue talking about paraphrasing. But before we get started, I want to tell you guys that we miss you a lot again. And I want to show you today, I'm rocking my Ballet Folklorico from Lively shirt. So that's pretty cool. I think it's cool. Okay, before we get started, you guys will need a piece of paper and pencil to continue writing notes if you need to. Or you can continue writing on the same piece of paper that you wrote on yesterday when we talked about paraphrase. So let's just refresh our memories on paraphrase. What is paraphrase? So paraphrasing is rewriting a text using your own words. So I'm taking an original text that I read and I'm writing that using all the important information and I'm writing it in my own words. So we had steps for that. The first step for paraphrasing was to read the text and make sure that I understood what I was reading. I need to make sure that I understand that. Then I need to find the central idea and supporting details. Now, the central idea and supporting details, that's mainly for longer text. That's when you're reading a magazine and you're reading like 3 paragraphs. That's where you take the central idea and the supporting details to paraphrase your text. But in this case, in most of the cases that we're going to see, we only need to look for the important words because we're going to look at short text. But you still have to keep the other one in mind, the central idea and supporting details. But we need to look for the important words. Once I identify those important words, I need to highlight them, I need to underline them, I need to write them down because those will be helpful. After I have done that, then I go and write it using my own words. I go write the text using my own words. So I take my understanding and those important words and I write it in my own words. And then when I'm done, when I feel like I got it, I need to check. I need to read my text again, the text that I wrote, my paraphrase. And I need to check it to make sure that it makes sense, that I'm not changing the meaning of the text. Let's look at an example. So this text right here is the original and this is the paraphrase. Let's look at the original text. Willy Wonka was famous for his delicious candy. Children and adults loved to eat it. That was the original text. Now, what they did here is they color-coded the word for us to show us what different words they use. And a lot of these are synonyms, like tasty, enjoyed. Those are synonyms. And if you remember, synonyms are words that have the same meaning as another word. Some of these words, they took the definition and they put it in place of the word. And like for children and adults, they just made it short about just saying people. So that we're just making some changes here and there to make sure that I'm making it to where I can understand it. So they paraphrased it by saying Willy Wonka was known throughout the world. Instead of famous, he was known throughout the world because people, so not children and adults, but people just in general, enjoyed eating. So instead of loved eating, enjoyed eating. It has the same meaning, but I'm just changing the words. The tasty candy he made. Instead of saying delicious, we just use candy. I mean tasty, I'm sorry. But it still has the same meaning. So that's all I'm doing when I'm paraphrasing. Now, we are going to focus a lot on summary this week because that's our main focus. And I know yesterday I did talk about paraphrasing being a focus this week because it is. And the reason why paraphrase is also a focus this week, because they both go together, it's like we put a chain together, they go together, we cannot take them apart, is because every time you summarize something, and we'll learn more about that right now, you have to paraphrase it. You have to use your own words. We don't want to see you copying all the text. We want to see you using your own words. So, summary. What is summary? So summary is a short version of a text that includes important details and facts. What? Well, if you didn't understand it, I want you to pause the video and read it to yourself and practice paraphrasing this. Paraphrase this text, this sentence, on your own. So pause the video and go ahead and do that on your piece of paper. Now, if you're having trouble or you did it, but you're still like, I don't feel well about it, or I'm not 100% sure about it, I want you guys to go to tools. And if you click on dictionary, this is a pretty cool tool. You just need to type a word that you need to find the meaning for. So let's use the word important. So in this case, I only have one meaning. So I know I will be using this meaning. If I scroll down where it says synonyms, ooh, I have a lot of words that I can use instead of important. So instead of saying important, I can say the main details. I can say the useful information, right? So I can use several. I just need to look at them. Major facts. So I can say a small text that includes important details and facts, or another kind of text that includes important details or useful details and facts. So I'm changing some of the wordings. Instead of saying details and facts, I can use information. So it's up to you. When you paraphrase, you want to make sure that you're paraphrasing it to where you can understand it. And Ms. Ceballos, I know I paraphrased this. I looked at definitions that I could paraphrase it to where I understood it and to where I knew you guys would understand it more, right? But if you still don't understand it, this is where paraphrasing comes in helpful. Okay, well, let's keep looking at summary. When we look at summary, when we're writing a summary, we want to make sure we're answering our 5 W's. The who, what, when, where, and why. Who was involved? What happened? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Why did it happen? And a great example of that is using this text. An example. Let's look at this text. Elizabeth Blackwell was the first woman to earn a medical degree in the United States. After being rejected by several schools, Blackwell was finally admitted to Geneva Medical School in New York in 1847. In 1849, she graduated first in her class. So what Ms. Ceballos did is she took all the information, the who, Elizabeth Blackwell, the what, which is my next question if I go back, the what, and you can always pause this and write this in your papers. So I'll give you a few seconds so you can pause it and write it in your piece of paper. Okay, so the what is she became the first woman to earn a medical degree. When? Well, I know that was in 1849. Where? I know that she was in the United States. And why? The why is because she was rejected by several schools. So I'll take all this information and I'm going to paraphrase it. I can easily say Elizabeth Blackwell was the first woman to earn a medical degree in the United States after being rejected by several schools in 1849. Now, it doesn't make sense, and I'm using all the words for my text, which is plagiarizing. So we don't want to plagiarize, and that's a whole word that we'll talk about, meaning we can talk about it later. If you have questions, you can always email us, or we can do a Zoom meeting on that if you guys will like. And plagiarizing is just when you take other people's work and you use it as your own, and we don't want to do that. So I want to write it in my own words, in words that I understand. So this is what I did. I took all that information and I rearranged it and changed some of the words using synonyms so that it made sense. So this is my summary. After many obstacles, this is where I'm talking about being rejected by several schools, the first female, so instead of woman, I used female, to receive a medical degree. Instead of saying to earn, I said to receive a medical degree in America. So instead of the United States, I said America, was Elizabeth Blackwell in 1849. And I still kept my date because the date is something I cannot change. But it's an important information of this text and I have to keep it. So this is where you use your 5 W's. But sometimes you don't even have to look at the 5 W's. Sometimes you would see questions like this, which is what we see usually in STAR tests. These questions. And this is what you're mainly going to see. So this is what I want to focus on. So I have this text. Squirrels live around the world. The tree squirrel and the ground squirrel are common squirrels in North America. Tree squirrels are common in forests, parks, and neighborhoods. Ground squirrels are more common in grassy areas and live underground. Squirrels mostly eat nuts, seeds, and plants. They also enjoy protein from insects, eggs, and baby birds. That's right, they can eat baby birds. What? Squirrels are famous for gathering nuts and burying them in the ground. Okay, so that's a lot of information. So this is a two-part question. So my first question is, what details are given about a squirrel's diet? So I looked at the paragraph that talked about the diet. Which paragraph do you think talked about the diet? Pause your video right now and see if you can figure it out. Okay, if you pick paragraph 2, you're right. Paragraph 2 talks about the food, the different food that they eat. And so if you see Miss Ceballos paraphrase that information and I just put squirrels like to eat different foods. I took all that information in my own words. I summarized it. I took that main idea and that important details and I just made it into one sentence. I made a short version. So this is my answer. And in your exit tickets, you are going to see it like this. It will say type here. All you have to do, guys, is go click where it says type here and type your answer there. And then I'll just move on. Then I have the second part of this question. What is the best summary of these paragraphs? Well, when it says these paragraphs, it's talking about the entire text, both paragraphs. So what was the main idea for both paragraphs? The best summary. A, squirrels can live in trees, in the ground, and in neighborhoods. Well, it did talk about it, that squirrels can live in forests, parks, and neighborhoods. But is that what my text is mainly about? Is it focusing on my central idea? No, it's only talking about one supporting detail. So if it's only talking about one supporting detail, it's just a small part of my text, that is not my answer. And if you need to exit the questions out, let me show you a quick tool. If you go under shapes, under equations, and you click on the multiply, you can make a little X. Now, I don't expect you guys to do this. I'm just doing it because, but you don't have to do it. I'm gonna create another X just so that I have it ready. Okay, B. There are 2 species of squirrels that are very common. They like to eat nuts. Sometimes squirrels bury nuts in the ground. It is talking about the 2 species. They do like to eat nuts. Sometimes they bury nuts in the ground. It did talk about the 2 species, but this is too focused on what they eat. They're giving me extra details. This detail, sometimes squirrel bury nuts in the ground. That is just a supporting detail. So it's not really focusing on the central idea, which is what we want in a summary. So I am going to X this out. I'm going to X B out. C. 2 common species of squirrels live across North America and need a variety of food. It did talk about the 2 species, the tree squirrel and the ground squirrel. Then it also said where they live, North America. So it didn't say it lives on trees, it lives on ground. No, it was very specific, North America. And eat a variety of foods. That's what my paragraph 2 was about. So in my case, and if you guys agree with me, give me a thumbs up. Give a thumbs up just to yourself. I think is C. So I'm going to come here. Did you guys see that? Let me go back. There's an area, and you're going to see this with your exit tickets. There's an area over here where it says type your answer here. I'm going to just click erase, and I'm just going to type my answer, C. Let me show you what your exit tickets will look like. For Monday, you have a paraphrasing exit ticket. For Tuesday, you have an exit ticket that is similar to what we just did. Wednesday the same, and then Thursday you have